I've been thinking a lot lately about my flares, not just the things that trigger them, but really trying to focus on the things that helps them. And I've realized, obviously you got to be proactive about it, but a lot of it is when I notice a flare coming on, I tend to go into fight or flight. Like, I will start pacing up and down all over the house, like I'm literally trying to get away from my own body. Here in the past year or so, I haven't had so much of the pain like you get with fibromyalgia and stuff, chronic fatigue, and apparently having ADHD can also affect the way you perceive pain. Go figure. But brain fog. So when I feel a flare starting to come on, I go into fight or flight. And even if it's not crazy and dramatic, like I feel it coming on. Like I was saying, my flares haven't been so much pain in my muscles and bones like they kind of been for the past 20 plus years. I still get stiffness, but that's mostly from, when I'm just not doing much, not moving around much, I'm cold. But I still have a problem with, I guess, being open about my pain to others around me, because you get kind of conditioned to hide, to not be a burden, to not be too much. And it is like that with some people. Some people just can't be there for other people. I get it. It is what it is, but a lot of it is acknowledging it to yourself. Because I'll try to hide from the pain, not just from other people, not hide it from other people, but I try to hide it from myself. And that's one thing that I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to realize in real time when it's happening. Flare starts up. It's mostly, it's basically just in my nervous system these days, with the neuropathy, just in the skin feeling, the tingling, the burning. How your skin feels kind of when you start to get a fever, when you have a really bad fever, just how sensitive and irritated it can feel. And triggers, I'm recognizing triggers, definitely stress, getting overstimulated by electronics, sound, light, whatever it is. And I still have the bad habit of trying to keep up with everybody, everything else. So acknowledging it to myself is like the first big step, and just doing something about it. Go ahead and just doing whatever it is I need to do in that moment to make myself feel better, even if that's coming here in the middle of the day, or as soon as I wake up, or before I go to bed, whatever, and just turn on the shower and let it steam up the room and just sit here and soak in the steam. It makes everything feel so much better. Sit in a dimly lit room, put on comfortable clothes regardless of what you got to do that day. Just make yourself comfortable. But I also notice that, because the longer you try to hide it, the longer you try to dismiss it, the worse it makes it feel. And then you try to hide it from the people around you, because either people have told you in the past that you're too much, or that, because it's invisible, they can't see it. And they don't understand why it just comes out of nowhere. But, also understanding when you're with or around people who, they are there for you. you just have to let them be there for you, you know? It's really hard learning how to accept peace when you've pretty much gone your whole life not having it. Or having understanding, or having people tell you that they understand, they get it, but then eventually they get tired of you having to cancel plans, or tired of something always being wrong with you. You know, you get so sick of it, and then it's just like, yeah, how do you think I feel? I'm the one that's got to live with it, you know. I know there's so many people out there going through the same thing, and a lot of it is we really need to give our own selves a break, because if we're not willing to give ourselves a break, nobody else is really going to fully give us a break. And it's not, you know, you don't have to be brave all the time. You don't have to be scared either. But you can let somebody know that you're hurting. Especially if it's the person you're with. They don't want you to hide that. And the longer you try to hide it from other people or yourself, just the worse it's going to make it. The longer the flare is going to last. So, you know, there's just so many things that I'm finally figuring out. I mean, I don't have any answers, but dots are connecting and things are finally starting to make sense. You spend your entire life sick with one thing or another, and you know, you go through the time, and you go through the energy, and you go through the expense, and you go through all the doctors, and somehow you just end up falling apart faster. And I'm not saying they don't help, because they do, but there's so much more information finally starting to come out about things like fibromyalgia and other chronic illnesses, and you know, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, hypermobile, hyperflexible, which all that stuff, you know, I'm learning, because it's one thing to be told you have it, you know, but when you're not actually told about it, you're just kind of left in the dark of what to do. And you know, I don't have any advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm just sharing what I've learned about myself, what's helped me, what doesn't help. Sometimes something that might help one day doesn't help the other day. But I've found, at least for myself, I might not be able to stop the flares, but I can at least do what I can to decrease them. So, you know, they won't last as long, they won't be as intense. I'm still coming out of a flare. It's been like a good solid 2 weeks, you know, just waking up every day, my skin burning, feeling like I've been fried from the inside. And, you know, it's hard to see, it's hard to hear, it's hard to move, it's hard to think, it's hard to speak. But the biggest thing that helps, even if it's just in the moment, just to calm it down so that I can get through and survive the next peak. Sometimes the biggest thing that helps it is just accepting help from someone else, even if that help is just sitting there with you, because sometimes that's all that can be done, and that's okay. That's okay. Don't always need a fix, don't always need an answer. Sometimes you just need presence. Whether that's presence from someone else that brings you peace, or presence with yourself and being able to be at peace. So You know, this is just another one of these things that I'm learning and trying to recognize in real time. You know, baby steps. Progress is progress. Consistency is the key, and you know, not always gonna be great, but it's not always gonna be terrible. I feel like most of the times I just get lost in my head trying to explain anything, because I've spent pretty much my whole life being quiet, being told to be quiet. Don't rock the boat, don't cause conflict, don't make anybody uncomfortable. And I don't know why just being yourself tends to make other people uncomfortable. It's really weird. Maybe it's because they can't figure out how to make themselves comfortable. I don't know. I don't even know what I've just said. Brain fog is still definitely one thing that seems like it's just kind of always there, and it definitely gets worse with flares. But there's clarity here and there. Anyway, I just want to share that little thought. If it helps somebody, you know, like I said, there's no medical advice, there's no answers, there's no fixes here. I'm just connecting all the dots in my life, and I see a lot of similar dots in other people's lives. And I've gotten so much knowledge and inspiration and motivation from so many people, you know, out there on YouTube, whether it's somebody making videos or just somebody leaving a comment on my video or hanging out in a live stream. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for helping me remember, you know, this and that a little bit, one day at a time. And thank you all for sharing your stories with me. I'm curious to know, you know, what you all do whenever you're going through a flare. Or do you realize you're going through a flare? Sometimes I don't even realize I'm in a flare. It's like, how can you not realize you're in a flare, but you just don't? It's like not realizing you're hungry, you know? And a lot of y'all have that same thing. You don't realize that you're hungry till you're about passed out. But that's just, like I said, I'm trying to be more aware of things as they're happening in real time. So I'm learning to, you know, kind of step beside the pain, step beside the emotions, and just step into observer mode. Past all the negativity and the bad thoughts, and just, you know, take it one day at a time, see what we can do, or where we go from here. So if anybody has any thoughts, tips, tricks, what do you all do? I know heat definitely helps. Steamy heat, water definitely helps. You know, probably the biggest thing for me has been peace, though, and learning how to accept help one day at a time, y'all. So anyway, stay shiny.